Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jump and today I'll be reviewing The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which was released on the 12th of May of this year. Now, I'm not going to try and for the basically for the entire review, I'm not going to try and spoil the game by talking about the major plot elements and stuff like that, because I don't want to spoil the game for people who haven't beaten the story yet or who have just got the game. I'm going to try and keep this spoiler free as possible. But if it comes to major story elements, I want to keep them to a minimum so I don't spoil some part of the story for people. So, yeah. So to start off with, this game in terms of story elements and where when you compare it to Breath of the Wild, takes place a few years after Breath of the Wild, and you see Link and Zelda doing some investigating, and that investigation leads them to the underneath Hyrule Castle, and during that investigation they come across Gandalf's corpse, and you can see him. It's like all mummified and kind of doesn't look threatening at all, until he awakens and attacks both Link and Zelda, which separates them. And then Link wakes up and has to figure out where Zelda went and what's happened to Hyrule after the events that he saw with Gandalf, or when he saw Gandalf with Zelda. And I would say that this game, the plot of the game is really, really fun and fascinating because uh, it's a lot more. I would say it's a lot more mysterious. I would say, than Breath of the Wild, because with Breath of the Wild, when you saw Calamity Ganon, you're kind of like, oh, it's Calamity Ganon. It's basically Ganon, but more evil or something like that, because Calamity Ganon was more or more of a reincarnation of the hatred that Ganon had when we saw him in previous games. But after I would say that after the Breath of the Wild, after the events that happened in Breath of the Wild, obviously there'll probably be a lot of questions like, why was Calamity Ganon underneath Hyrule, or the Hyrule Castle, or where was Gandalf all this time? Uh, why did the Divine Beasts shut down, stuff like that? And I would say that Tears of the Kingdom kind of answers some of those questions, um, but leaves some of them still kind of open, I would say. And I do enjoy how this game kind of expands on the world as a whole, in the sense that there are new areas to explore. And what I enjoy about the new overworld are the two new areas in the game, that being the Sky Island and that being the Depths. And I feel like these two new areas were an interesting and fun way of more exploration for Tears of the Kingdom, because I feel like if these would if the game weren't didn't have these two new areas, I feel like that the game would probably be a bit more boring on the whole exploration side, because with Breath of the Wild, it was a huge game and you could go literally anywhere in the world. And I feel like if Tears of the Kingdom didn't have the new areas, I feel like people wouldn't have that much interest in exploring. I would feel like people would just go through Hyrule and beat the game and just like, it's beaten, it's okay, it's whatever. But I feel like with Tears of the Kingdom, with these new areas, there's a lot more intense to explore. Like with the Sky Islands, I feel like the Sky Islands are interesting because they have new areas to explore, and you can in order to reach them, you can use some of the areas in some of the map Sky Island, not Sky Islands, some of these Sky View tower things, because in the game, like with Breath of the Wild, if you want to get to or get to new areas of the map, you have to find these lookout towers, and they help you, and they have give you new sections of the map. Enter the Kingdom, similar thing, but instead of getting this sort of like drop of information from the tower, you're actually launched into the air and sort of do the sort of scanning thing, and because in this game you get a new sort of piece of technology, whereas in Breath of the Wild you were given the Sheikah Slate. Into the Kingdom you get the Pura Pad. Now these two things kind of do the same thing in the sense that they just give you the map and you can place pins to new areas and stuff like that. And with the lookout towers, they if you want to get to the Sky Islands, you basically just have to use any of the towers and they'll just fling you up and you can just glide to any of the islands, and that's really fun. And with the depths, I do like how when you first enter it, the entire map is in pitch black, and it's the same when you don't open the map. You'll see that on the minimap, the entire map is blank, and it'll be pretty dark in the depths as well when you enter it. It's kind of like that one shrine quest near the Lost Woods in Breath of the Wild, where the entire woods is in complete darkness. It's kind of like that shrine quest from Breath of the Wild. And what I like about the depths is that it feels a lot more scary when it's in pitch black. When you start to uncover the map bit by bit, it feels not less scary, but I think it feels more. I think it loses that fear factor a bit because you're in complete darkness and you don't know what to do and stuff like that. But yeah, and if you want to uncover the entire map, you can find these things called light roots, and these light roots help sort of brighten up a specific area of the map for you. And what I like about the light roots is that this is something I found out, I would say, a while after playing the game, is that each of the light roots that you find are underneath a specific shrine on the Hyrule map. And that's really fun because that means if you want to find a shrine or a light route, you can look on either on the Hyrule map or the Depths map and see, okay, I've gotten this light route but not the shrine for it, or I have this shrine but not this particular light route for it. So you can switch between maps, and that's really fun because you don't really see this, from my knowledge. You don't normally see this in video games. If you want to have a map and you want to try and figure out the landscape of it, you don't really see that, and I think Tears of the Kingdom does that really, really well, in the sense that, okay, we've got this new area, and this is how you can find them, if you're clever enough. And yeah, that's really interesting, and I do like how the depths are really fun to explore, and that's really fun. And I'm going to show you some of the areas in the game. So when it comes to Hyrule Castle, or not Hyrule Castle, the Kingdom of Hyrule itself, it's got a lot of. It's basically just the same thing as Hyrule Castle, as Hyrule Kingdom from the previous game. And the reason why I have the map quite zoomed in is because there are some spoiler type stuff on the map that I don't want to spoil people on. So that's why I have the map this quite zoomed in. And one of the I'll say noticeable differences is these sort of red circles here. Now those are holes or chasms that you can go into the depths into. When you first see one, you can just jump in and you can explore the depths once you've landed. And then when it comes to the Sky Islands, you can see that it's basically just over Hyrule, but you can see the clouds up there. You can see like clouds covering Hyrule, the Kingdom of Hyrule itself. And then for the depths, it's basically for the depths. It's basically the same thing as Hyrule, or the same. But it's only because what I'm trying to say here is that both the Kingdom of Hyrule and the depths have the exact same map layout. So that's quite fun, and that's really interesting because you can basically just go in the depths, and let's say you're here and you'll be somewhere, and I think you'll be like the Colosseum, yeah. So there'll be like certain areas that are basically similar to other locations on the map, wherever you are will be in Hyrule. And as I said before, these areas of emptiness are basically areas you haven't found yet, or areas that you need to find in order to if you want to traverse them, and you need to find the light routes. And as I said before, the light routes are basically just underneath the shrine. So the Son Apan shrine is underneath, or is above, this particular pin, which is quite fascinating and interesting. So let me show you the depth first, because that's where I'll probably just show you the depths first, and then I'll show you the Sky Islands. And also, what I like about the transition, all the loading screens, is that you can see when you're where you're going to be going to the depths. Just this giant underground area, and it's really fun because like it doesn't feel like a normal cave, in the sense that in other games like let's say Twilight Princess, where that game had a lot of caves, where there were different caves altogether. The depths feels like one massive cave, and it's all connected. And if you go to the depths, you'll find these sort of red pools scattered here and there, and these are basically gloom. And what they do, if you stand them for too long, you won't be able to. Your heart will be sort of disabled, in the sense that you won't be able to recover that particular heart. So let's say I want to eat. I can't. I can't eat the apple because of my heart. And if I, let's say, warp. Let's say I want to warp. Let's say I warp here. No, warp there. For example. And if I do warp, the heart will be recovered, as it'll show you here. So you just wait for it. And there, now the heart has been recovered, and now I can restore it, so that's quite cool. Now with Sky Islands, I do enjoy. I think they're really fun to explore, because you've got this sort of main. This is, I would say, the main Sky Island, because this is probably the largest one out of the others that isn't story related. And what I really like about the Sky Islands in particular is that from any of the Sky Islands that you're on, you can just go down to the Kingdom of Hyrule. And also, hang on, before I show you that, the Koroks are back. Yeah, the Koroks are back. So, yeah, and obviously for the Koroks, I say it's fine for them to be back, but it is annoying to find the Koroks again to upgrade your inventory. Now, as I said before, you can use any of the Sky Islands to traverse to land back in the Kingdom of Hyrule, like so. And you can do, like a Skyward Sword, you can do the sort of like, you can just do this, like you can like glide, sort of, or basically just do sort of like a sort of skydiver type of move. You can dive, which I think is quite cool, and you can also use the power glider to like glide to specific areas. And yeah, and what's so cool, as I said, you can just go from any of the Sky Islands and just go back to the Kingdom of Hyrule, just like that, without having to warp or do any loading times, like any of the loading times you see in, when you warp and stuff like that. And that's really fun. You don't normally see games do something like that, where you go from one location to another without having that much of a loading time. The only one I can think of is maybe God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok, maybe. But I think that's mainly because those games were both done in one shot, so the developers could could do loading screens subtly. And yeah, it's quite similar to the Kingdom, where you could just go from Sky Islands to the Kingdom of Hyrule without having the necessary loading times. So that's really cool. So that's been it for the gameplay. Now time to go back to the review. So overall, I would say that Tears of the Kingdom is a really fun sequel to Breath of the Wild, because I do enjoy a lot of the things that this game has to offer, like with the hand abilities that you're given, because some of them are, I think these are really cool and interesting abilities to be given. And I do like using the Ascend ability, which is an ability that you can use if you want to go through particular objects, whether it's crates, the side of mountains, even stone taluses, which is quite cool, because if you want to try and get the ore that's on top of a stone talus, you can just use the Ascend ability to go straight through them, and that's really fun. And I think the Ascend ability brings a lot of new and interesting elements to battle and how you can use them. And then you've got other ones like Ultra Hand, which is basically a way of fusing different objects together, which is like, stuff like you can create so much like stuff, like whether that's a sort of cart for horses, boxes with wheels or something like that, or just pretty much anything. The fuse ability, which is kind of like Ultra Hand, but you can fuse different things to your weapons or your shield. And then there's Recall, which is basically you can turn back time on a particular object that's been either fallen down or thrown at you, and you can basically turn back time on that particular object. And that's again a really cool ability to use, because throughout the game there are these falling bricks or falling stone slabs that come from the sky, and you can use the Recall ability to go and basically just make that stone slab go back into the sky with you on it, and from there you can just glide to any nearby Sky Islands that you might want to go to. So that's really fun, and also that also might help you get to new islands that might not that other than using these the lookout towers. So that's really fun. And yeah, I would say overall Tears of the Kingdom is a nice, interesting sequel to Breath of the Wild. So that's been my review for Tears of the Kingdom. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.